Moving on to the Taiwan Strait now. Will it become the next war zone? Is a Chinese attack on Taiwan imminent? What makes me ask that? Well, the developments over the last 24 hours. Let's break it all down for you. You see, last weekend, Taiwan chose Lai Ching-te as the new president. Someone who China hates, just to put it simply. Someone who it has labeled as a separatist. And despite this, there was an eerie calm in the Taiwan Strait. But as it turns out, that was the calm before a storm. China has launched major military patrols in the sensitive region. Here's what's going on. Taiwan has detected at least 24 Chinese Air Force planes. This includes the Su-30 fighters. But detailed information has not been released. Accompanying the aircraft have been 5 PLA Navy vessels. They are operating off northern and central Taiwan, also to the island's southwest. And not just that, in the last 24 hours, 11 of the aircraft have also crossed the Taiwan Strait's median line or the areas close by. At least that is what Taiwan's defense ministry is claiming. It seems that China is trying to intimidate Taiwan. This, by the way, is its largest military maneuver around the island in 3 weeks. This is also its first active response to the election in Taiwan. The dragon is clearly angry. It has issued statements to other governments that congratulated Lai Ching-te on his victory, in fact. The Chinese Foreign Ministry summoned the Philippine ambassador and denounced the Philippine president's congratulatory message to Lai Ching-te. Spokeswoman Mao Ning emphasized that the One China principle is the red line and the bottom line. Listen to this.
The wrong remarks made by the Philippine side seriously violated the One China principle and the joint communique. It seriously breached the political commitments made by the Philippines to China and constituted a flagrant interference in China's internal affairs. The One China principle is the red line and the bottom line. China will never accept any provocations on the Taiwan question and will act resolutely in response.
You see, China has threatened the Philippines to abide by the One China policy. And it's not the only country, by the way, that China is trying to influence. Remember, just a few days back, Nauru severed ties with Taiwan and switched recognition to China. It is the 10th diplomatic ally of Taiwan, which Beijing has managed to flip, all since the DPP came into power. The next few months are going to be even more volatile. And why is that? You see, President-elect Lai Ching-te is going to be formally sworn in the month of May. And in the run-up to that, China is expected to flex its military muscle to intimidate Taiwan further. In fact, days before the election, President Xi Jinping emphasized that Taiwan's reunification with China is inevitable. Listen to this.
The reunification of the motherland is a historical inevitability. Compatriots on both sides of the Taiwan Strait should be bound by a common sense of purpose and share in the glory of the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation.
And on top of that, Xi Jinping urged the CCP workers to strengthen the patriotic and pro-unification forces in Taiwan and oppose the separatist acts of Taiwan independence. But how likely is that with Lai Ching-te in power? He is for sure not going to deliver what China wants, and that is enough for China to justify an escalated response. Just to put it simply, tensions are expected to rise further in the Taiwan Strait. It has already started, in fact. Xi Jinping has said in the past that Beijing is not preparing for a war, at least for now, but he has never ruled out the use of force. Will Lai Ching-te's ascension to presidency fuel the fire? It seems quite likely, especially at a time when two wars are already raging on. The threat cannot be ruled out. The Russia-Ukraine war is going to hit the 2-year mark. The Israel-Hamas war has spilled across West Asia. Now, Iran and Pakistan are also exchanging fire. The fear of the Chinese invasion of Taiwan seems larger than ever. Can the world afford yet another war? In a tit-for-tat move today, Pakistan has bombed neighboring Iran. It came a little more than 24 hours after Iran conducted missile strikes on terror groups in Pakistan. And this has led to fears that another war could break out at a time of the growing global war. But here on Gravitas, our question remains the same as last night. Can Pakistan really afford it? Can Pakistan really go against Iran, one of the world's most powerful weapons manufacturing countries? Is Pakistan ready to be hostile with 3 neighbors? And before we explore that, here's what happened so far. On Thursday, Pakistan said it used killer drones and rockets to strike militants inside Iran. The Iranian media said several missiles hit a village in the Sistan-Balochistan province that borders Pakistan. 9 people were killed in Pakistan's strikes, including 4 children. Pakistan described the strikes as a series of highly coordinated and specifically targeted precision military strikes against terror hideouts. Its foreign ministry said, and I'm quoting, a number of terrorists were killed during the intelligence-based operation. The sole objective of today's act was in pursuit of Pakistan's own security and national interest, which is paramount and cannot be compromised. So how did Tehran respond? Condemning the strikes, Tehran summoned Pakistan's most senior diplomat in Iran to ask for an explanation. Meanwhile, in Islamabad, a foreign ministry spokesperson said Pakistan's caretaker prime minister planned to cut short his visit to the World Economic Forum in Davos, given the situation back at home. According to reports, in fact, the Pakistani military is in a state of extremely high alert. It threatened that it would meet any misadventure from the Iranian side forcefully. But who were the targets of Pakistan's strikes? It was the Baloch Liberation Front, BLF, and its associated Baloch Liberation Army, BLA. The BLF is waging an armed insurgency against the Pakistani state. And why is that? It's because they want freedom from Pakistan, freedom from exploitation. They want greater regional autonomy in Balochistan. The region, after all, has seen decades of insurgency, rich in natural resources like natural gas, oil, copper, gold. Balochistan is one of the least developed provinces in Pakistan. They see Islamabad as an occupier, an exploiter of natural resources. And guess what? They raised the banner of revolt against China as well. That's right. They see Beijing as Islamabad's partner in exploiting their resources, and this is why they want China's BRI out. In fact, the BLF has launched attacks against Chinese citizens and investments in Balochistan. In a separate statement on Thursday, the BLF said it does not have any hideouts in Iran. They said that no BLF fighters had been killed in recent attacks. The BLA has not yet commented publicly on Pakistan's strikes on Iranian territory. Pakistan's retaliatory strikes on Iran came after Tehran attacked bases of another terror group, Jaish al-Adl. Although the 2 countries have had a rocky past, these strikes are the highest profile cross-border intrusions in recent years, and it comes amid growing worries about the instability in the region. The 2 neighbors had appeared to be improving ties with Iran's foreign minister and Pakistan's prime minister meeting at Davos this week. That was before the Iranian strikes on Pakistan. Pakistan's comments after the retaliatory strikes signal Islamabad's desire to keep the row contained. But analysts warn it could get out of hand. There are escalation fears. It's because amid the Israel-Hamas war, Iran has been flexing its muscle in the region. And this is even before the cross-border strikes on Pakistan. Late on Tuesday night, Tehran struck Islamic State sites and Iraq, where it said it had struck an Israeli spy center. Why Iran launched Tuesday's attack still remains unclear. But these strikes mean that both Pakistan and Iran have taken an extraordinary step of ignoring each other's national sovereignty. Which brings us to the question, can it afford to go against Iran? The Iranians, after all, are masters of asymmetric warfare. They have shown a penchant for building an array of weapon systems. It's mainly to counter the adversaries that are better funded and more heavily armed. Pakistan, in fact, has been ranked as the 9th strongest military globally. This is according to the latest assessment by the Global Firepower Index. Meanwhile, Iran holds the 14th rank. And between the two, Pakistan boasts of a formidable military. It has the Army, Air Force, Navy. They have 650,000 active duty personnel, over 1,000 warplanes, including the coveted American-made F-16s. They have submarines, patrol vessels. But Iranian armed forces, being the largest in West Asia in terms of active troops, Iran has 610,000 active duty personnel and an additional 350,000 trained personnel ready for mobilization, over 500 aircraft. 500 aircraft, including domestically produced Saigeh and older F-4 Phantoms. The Iranian Navy also has approximately 20,000 active duty personnel. It has a diverse fleet of 67 units, including frigates and submarines. And it's not just about what Pakistan has and does not have in its arsenal. The point is that the situation has come at a sensitive time for Pakistan. The country is still struggling with various challenges. It has a weak caretaker government, to say the least. Its economy is in shambles. And its Chief Justice says drugs and Kalashnikovs have destroyed the country. You heard that right. Let's tell you more about this. On Wednesday, the Pakistan Chief Justice lamented the state of affairs. He noted how Kalashnikovs have become part of everyday life in Pakistan, how the police looks the other way as people keep arms without licenses. He said Pakistan must get rid of the Kalashnikov culture. This is the state of Pakistan. Can it really afford to fight Iran when its own house is on fire? And while the world is in the middle of two raging wars, while concerns are growing, so is their impact. From eggs to gems, the impact is visible in multiple ways all around us, across sectors. I know what you're wondering here. Why am I talking about eggs specifically? Because Russia, you see, is in a fix. How is that related to eggs, you ask? Well, egg prices in the country are rising to the extent that the Russian President Vladimir Putin had to personally apologize for the crisis. You heard that right. You see, it all boils down to the impact of the war. Let's just break this down for you. The price of eggs has been a growing concern there. In fact, the price increased over 40% last year. How is Moscow dealing with this? The government will be exempting over 1 billion eggs, 1.2 billion to be precise, from import duty in the first half of this year. In fact, Russia has asked its neighbor, Kazakhstan, for help. It wants the country to supply more eggs to the retailers. And this, by the way, is just one part of the story as far as the impact is concerned. The wars are also affecting the precious gems industry in India. How exactly? You see, the thing is, both Russia as well as Israel are crucial sources as far as India's diamond imports are concerned. And which is why the wars are making their impact felt on this industry. And you know why this is extremely significant? Because India is a major player as far as the diamond industry is concerned. In case you were not aware, a huge chunk of the world's rough diamonds are cut and polished in India. How major? 90%. You heard that right. The country's overall gross exports of cut and polished diamonds, in fact, fell 9.78% in dollar terms during the April 2022 to March 2023 period. This is as per India's Gem and Jewellery Export Promotion Council. There has also been a decline in the demand from the developed nations. And the global economic slowdown has not helped. This report cites remarks from the managing director of a Gujarat-based company focused on jewelry exports and diamond trading, who talks about the downturn in the work, with exports decreasing about 30 to 35% over the past 7 months. While there have been challenges, there is also reason for optimism. The report also quotes the chairman of the Gem and Jewellery Export Promotion Council, who says that the industry made a strong comeback in November 2023 with an impressive 11.44% growth in overall gem and jewellery exports. But the overall exports for April to November were 19% lower than the same period of 2022 as per the report. These indicators are strong reminders of the impact that the wars are having on us and how our world is changing as a result of the rising tensions and conflicts.